of this as well. So thank you guys again for all of your time, both mentors and mentees. We are really, really excited to kind of end this program strong and to also be with you in your next step, wherever that might be, either at Purdue for a graduate program or summer research program, or at another university. We're really excited about you guys and your next step in your graduate education. So what's up for today? So today we're going to have a really cool session on transitioning into that successful graduate program or summer research program. We're going to do some speed advice from our graduate student mentors. And then what we'll do is we'll do this presentation, break out into circles, and then come back, and then we will announce the GradTrack trophy, which will be really exciting, and then do a couple last minute announcements as well. And I guess just before we start, I have a quick question. I know that our GradTrack mentors, most of them got their t-shirts last week, which was exciting. Have any of the undergrad students gotten yours in the mail yet? If you haven't, I would recommend you keep your eyes peeled because they should be coming soon. So just keep your, not yet. Okay, you know what? They'll be there soon. So really excited for you guys to get that. But those did get out in the mail last week. So hoping that you guys will get those soon. Okay, so how we're going to run this this kind of speed advice session. All of our GradTrack mentors have completed one slide. They're going to take about 2 minutes to talk a little bit about some kind of real life advice that they've been through in their own, in their own journey in graduate school. So they all have a topic that they chose to discuss in about 2 minutes. They're going to talk about that given topic and share some real world advice. And again, share some advice for you guys. So expect this will be about the first half an hour, 40 minutes or so. And then, like I said, we'll move into circles to debrief and discuss. So with that, I'm going to pop it over to Abigail. So Abigail, if you want to unmute yourself and if you want to talk a little bit about your topic, that'd be great.
So I'm talking about what orientation and trainings are needed, whichever university you finally get into. Quickly find out about professional development workshops that are available for graduate students. Here at Purdue, it's a huge program. So you have varying topics ranging from time management to financial management to taxes, imposter syndrome, presentation skills. You need to attend these workshops. They are voluntary, but they are important because it will help you to get a lot of information so that you'll be successful and you know where all the resources you need to be successful in that school, you can get it. Here is the link for the Purdue graduate workshops, and then you have departmental orientations. Ask questions from your departmental and lab colleagues. They have a lot to tell you so that you can hit the ground running and you wouldn't have to repeat the same, have your growth curve will be just steep. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Abigail. And I did want to also say, if you guys have questions as we're working through these topics, feel free to drop them into the chat. I have that open so we can discuss this a little bit more. And mentors, if you guys have anything else you want to add on anything, like feel free to drop that into the chat too. One thing I'd add for orientations is that typically, at least for graduate school, you'll have an orientation through the central grad school. So they'll bring you and you'll kind of meet with all the grad students and you'll learn a lot of these things as well. And for summer research, you'll also have an orientation too. So, and I will share these slides out later so you guys can access all the links and click on things as well. So awesome. Thank you, Abigail. So the next GradTrack mentor providing some tips is going to be Tanya. So if you want to unmute Tanya and drop, yeah.
Do you hear me? Okay. So yeah, hello everyone. We're talking about how to find like a house or apartment and figure out how to get to campus. First, I want to say that these two things are basically function of the other. Like each of them depend on what you want to move on. And how I did this is first figuring out the transportation. So I talked to grad students and asked about how is the public transportation in Purdue. how typically people students get to campus, if it's car, bicycle, bus, or like walk-in. I typical distance for each of this. I'm from tropical island, so I asked about the weather. I'm not happy walking around at 30 degrees like today, so that's also important depending on where you're from. And another one is that if you stay close to campus and you're deciding on walking, is there things that you can do outside the lab that you will be happy and you can have like escape? So that's for, I guess, transportation. So once you decide, what's the transportation that you want to use, you can say, oh, well, I will leave close to campus, or I will leave far away from campus because it's cheaper, and then I'll pay for a car and combine these two things. Or I'll leave close, I pay a little bit more for the rent, but I will not have a car payment. But it's important for these, I guess, setting a budget of how much you're willing to pay, depending on how other expenses you have, because like each case is different. I think I added in the bullets, combining close versus far from campus, living by yourself or with roommates, which sometimes is like more, it's cheaper, right? And you have like company, but I don't know why, maybe people wants to live alone. I live alone, so that's depending on your priorities. And there's another two things that I added is like sometimes some stuff like internet is included in the rent, so versus other places you need to pay for the internet aside, they're furnished or not furnished. And I think the last one before my time is up is make sure you feel like home. You don't want to get to your house or apartment and be sad because you don't like how it is. It's worth it to take the time to like make it a happy place for you, because you're going to spend a lot of time in there. And I added some information sources, which is basically ask the grad students, because they've been through this and they're going to give you a lot of insight on different options for you. I use Google Maps, apartments.com, just to get an idea and reviews of what are the places. And I added a link there, which is a spreadsheet that I built for Purdue specifically, but it has like a ton of questions that I asked or that I tried to figure out to decide and make the final decision. I think that's basically it. And don't be shy to ask. We are happy to talk about this topic. There's nothing mysterious that we don't want to say, I guess, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya. Yeah, and certainly ask. So
yeah,
you need to be comfortable where you're living and where you're doing work to do your best work. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so Daniel's going next, talk about relocating, adulting, kind of budgeting and banking. Some of these things we don't necessarily think about, but are really important. So,
thank you, Jackie. So I'm going to talk a little bit about budgeting and banking. The first topic is, for the first bullet point, is making the decision. There's multiple options out there. Maybe having a physical bank that is close to you, maybe using an online banking, which normally have better rates. Things to consider here when you're making that choice is that think about if you're going to need cash and you need an ATM, right? Currently, most banks will waive the fee, so you can use any ATM. So that shouldn't be a problem, but some of them still do. So consider that. And also, if you're looking for better rates, normally online banking, it's going to be the way to go. It's not going to be a lot of interest rates, right? Like it's not that high, but something to consider there. Second thing is just trying to see if you're going to go on a big bank, like maybe Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or maybe more local, like a credit union. I'm going to tell you a little bit of experience that I have here. When I moved to the US, probably like 6 years ago, I didn't have any credit history, right? Zero. I was invisible in the finance world in the US. So I moved to Columbus, Indiana, which is 45 minutes south of Indy, and you need a car to get around. I didn't have the money straight up to pay for upfront for a car, so I needed a loan. And when I requested one online in my big bank, which is Wells Fargo, they denied me because I didn't have any credit history. But somebody suggested me, hey, go and ask the credit union that is across the plant where I work, and try it. And I went there and effectively, like they gave me the loan without any credit history. And actually the rates were even better than having a big bank. So consider that. So you have options out there. And normally credit unions are like more friendly towards and more open to do business with you on a local level, right? So consider that. And the other thing is also customer support. Generally, credit unions lack on that sense, and big banks have more customer support. But if you're okay giving that out, you can go with a credit union if you need. Third point is considering what you need, right? Normally what we have is a checking account where we get the direct deposit. They don't have restrictions on how many times you're gonna withdraw or how many times you can deposit money. Savings accounts, some banks have some limits, so consider that we're making one of those accounts. Because normally you want something that you can move your money freely without any limitations. And besides that, savings account, for example, is gonna be good to put an emergency fund. Normally you want to target 3 to 6 months of living expenses just in case something happens. And finally, just a couple of resources, right? Like consider, I'm not gonna span here, but it's really important for you to build credit responsibly, right? Try to open a credit card, pay off your balance every month, your statement balance, so you don't accrue interest. And if you do that over a period of time, you're gonna start building good credit, and you can apply to the best rates in anywhere. And in here, you can see some apps that you can use to build your budget, which is really crucial when you move to grad school and even on a professional level, right? It's really important to start budgeting your money accordingly. Sorry that I took so long.
No, that's great. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, and there are, it's really important to build that credit responsibly, and there are some free credit cards that you can also use as well. So, but again, responsible, very, very important. So yeah, now we'll transition over to Mateo. He's going to talk about budgeting and managing your money.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the most important things is knowing where your money's going. And I think that's something that's extremely difficult to do, especially with like all these subscriptions that there are now and all of that stuff. And so what happens is that there's you can just end up paying for something that you didn't even know you had. It happened to me recently, so one of the best ways is that to deal with that is with one of these like budgeting apps, and there's some free ones, and ideally it just syncs to your bank, and whenever you you swipe your credit card or your debit card, it just automatically updates and it categorizes everything in a pie chart, and then you know basically everything. So for example, I have like a suggested like grad school budget here. So it's like rent and bills would be like 45%. Restaurant food, because food is important. Shopping, because you have to have a life, like around 8%. Ultimately, you always want to be saving something. So like 20% is a good goal, and like miscellaneous is like for the unplanned things that just happen, like you need your oil change in your car, or your windshield wipers died or whatever. But the reason why savings are so important is the goal of having a safety net. So a good goal is to have 6 months of expenses. Some people are okay with 3. That's up to you, but and it depends on your budget, obviously. So, but if you have money in the bank that is liquid, that you can take out in case something happens. For example, someone crashed into your car while you were in class and your car was literally parked. Happened to me. Or your apartment becomes flooded. that happened to my brother, or you break your leg, also happened to me. But you know, things happen. But also one thing is like, you know, I think I try to live by this. It's like, you know, you're in grad school, be frugal. You're not making a lot of money, but you do have to enjoy life. So choose one or two things as like treat yourself type stuff. Because ultimately, whenever you look at the budget, you're not gonna like it. So yeah, so for me, it's my espresso machine and my bike. So I like those things. I splurged a little bit, but it's worth your overall happiness. And that's it.
Excellent. Thank you, Mateo. Really great advice there. Okay, so now we're going to transition over to Laura Roa to talk about how to make friends in a new location. So how do you really build your network there?
So I can't stress the importance of joining graduate students, like student organizations enough. That was actually the first thing that I did to get friends when I joined Purdue. These pictures are actually from events in my department. And you'll find that most graduate student organizations that are department specific have events that are tailored for first year and incoming graduate students. So I think my department has they automatically enroll you into the Graduate Student Association. And what they do is they have like monthly meetings with pizza, and they go over the events that they're going to have for the rest of that 3-month, 4-month period that they're planning for. I was actually the president of mine last year, and we specifically established events for first years so that everyone could get together and start to form friends and like connections to help them get through that first year of graduate school, because it can be kind of tough to move into a place in a program that you don't know anyone in. I also highly recommend getting involved in graduate student government if you're looking for more places to meet people. I think that's present at pretty much any university that you're going to look at. For me specifically, there's also the graduate women's associations and the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. Those are also organizations that are present at the graduate level. And so if you were a member of that in undergrad, consider being a member of that in graduate school as well. It's a good way to meet new people. Departments also will usually have intramural sports teams. My department always has a basketball league and always has a soccer league. And that's usually, at least in my department, it's done through the graduate student organization, but it's just a fun way to have fun, get out of the lab, and also meet new people. Also interacting with your fellow lab members. My group does a lot of lab socials. We'll go out and we will get dinner together, or we'll go, grab a drink after work. Since you're going to be working with these people for quite a long time for the most part, and you might even be working together on projects, it's important to form connections with them. Some of my lab members have become my best friends here during time at Purdue. And then lastly, this is specific for Purdue, but Purdue has cultural centers. We have a Latin cultural center. We have a Black cultural center. I think we have a Jewish center on campus, although it's not officially a cultural center. We have an Indigenous center, and I'm pretty sure we have an Asian center. Yeah, those are also really great opportunities to meet new people. I sometimes will pop into the Latin Cultural Center just for food, and they have events, and I've met a couple people through it as well. They even have a place that you can nap, and they have printers and stuff, and it's just a fun time. So I would highly encourage getting involved in organizations and looking into things that you can do through different groups on campus.
Excellent. Thank you. And I would say this, all this advice is really great for grad school, but finding your network and making friends is also really important for summer research. And all of these apply, I would say, for summer research as well. Like interacting with your lab mates. Like I know that they do intramural sports over the summer. So again, don't hesitate to lean into that network. So very cool, thank you. Okay, and then Jose is going to talk about how to find different resources and how to actually find these different clubs and offices. Actually, and I think Jose might not be here tonight because he is a mentor on for the makeup. So I'll really quickly talk about some of this stuff then, if he's not here, which I don't think he is. So, you know, how do you actually find these different resources? You will find them, right? I am right, Jose? You're not here, right? Don't, yeah, just interrupt me if you are. No, okay. Perfect. So, you know, it's really important to be able to find those different resources. And so, you know, emails are a great way of finding these resources. You will get a lot of emails, but know that, you know, if you start to read through them and sift through them, there are a lot of good resources in those emails. So at least here at Purdue, we have a graduate school, a central graduate school, as well as our Office of Graduate Education in engineering that has a number of workshops for grad students. And so really the grad school specifically has like a really wide range for everything from kind of mental health and budgeting, kind of going more in depth to some of the topics we've already talked about, to like dealing with your advisor and you know, different activities and professional development. So here you can see like a screenshot of some of, you know, the grad school workshops that they were offering just on wellness in the month of March and April. So, so there's a lot of resources out there. You know, when you're trying to figure out who do I go to get this information, or where should I be looking? You know, if you feel like you're missing that information via email, every graduate program has a graduate administrator who runs that graduate program, and they have a lot of these resources, or they can point you in the right direction of like where to go to get these resources. You know, as mentioned, cultural centers are also another great place to find these things. Specifically, I'm really involved in the Indigenous Graduate Center on campus. So it's our Native American Educational Cultural Center, and they have events that happen all the time, from professional development events to more social and cultural events as well. And then on campus, there are always a number of career fairs and club fairs. I think we have over 1,000 clubs here at Purdue, both on the undergrad and grad level. So, so that's another place. We have like a whole website called Boiler Link that connects you up so that you can go on there and search for clubs. And so that's at least a Purdue specific thing, but many universities have something similar where there'll be a website that lists all the clubs, and you can go find like, you know, hey, I'm interested in this, and you can go find that. So that's a little bit about how to actually find these different resources, clubs and offices. And, you know, I definitely would say, if you have any questions once you're getting to campus, your graduate program administrator for that graduate program that you're in is going to be like a really solid resource that you can go to them and ask. Really, you should be able to ask anything. And then certainly here at Purdue, like Janet Beagle and I, like we are always there to help point you in the right direction, whether you're a prospective student or even, you know, our current grad students, our mentors, anything that people need. We certainly want to make sure you're getting connected up to the right people to get your questions answered. So that's a little bit about finding resources for clubs and offices and different things like that. Okay, and then, you know, Juan Pablo, I'm pretty sure he is also on Tuesdays. He's on our makeup session. Yep, pretty sure, just double checking. So he'll be helping to lead the makeup discussion. So how to register for classes, is there any flexibility with that? It's really important as you're coming to campus and you're getting registered for classes that you have a discussion with your advisor at the beginning, figure out the lay of the land, what classes are required. I know like some personal experience when I came into my grad program, there were certain classes I had to take and they had like kind of that roadmap. And I'm like, okay, I know I need to take A, B during my first semester and this during my second semester. But any electives that I was able to take, it was a discussion with my advisor, my research advisor. And so, so it's really important to understand what you have to take and what you can take. And if there's any like time restrictions around when you have to take that. So can you, if a class isn't being offered until, a future year, can you hold that off? Is that okay? And so that's discussions you want to have with your advisor. And potentially even like senior grad students, like what have you taken before? Again, yeah, the course requirements really can vary from department to department. So it's really important to ask and have that conversation there. And sometimes classes aren't offered every semester or even every year. So familiarizing yourself with the course offerings and what you can take, what you should take, what other people in your lab have taken before, that can be really, really helpful. So again, really be aware of different required courses that might not be offered every year. So cool. Okay. Okay, Andrea, we're going to transition over to health insurance.
Sure, sounds good. So hi, everyone. I'll be discussing healthcare options in graduate school. Most universities do require documentation of health insurance for graduate students, but there are different options depending on your needs. One option that's pretty popular is getting health insurance through your university, as it's often pretty cost-effective for graduate students. If you're employed by your university as a graduate research or teaching assistant, or if you have a fellowship through the university, then you'll likely be eligible for faculty and staff insurance. If you are self-supported or you have an external fellowship, you might be eligible for the student insurance option. Within these two, there are usually separate categories for domestic and international students. So just make sure you're getting information on the correct type. And if you're ever not sure which you're eligible for, I encourage you to reach out to the appropriate office at your university. They always have a lot of information. And if you do look for insurance options externally, usually you will need to provide documentation to your university on that. So within all these options, there are some key terms that I would be aware of, especially if this is your first time getting health insurance separately from your parents or your family. The first one is deductible. This is the minimum amount that you will pay out of pocket before your insurance begins to cover services. So with a higher deductible, you will have a lower insurance premium, which is your upfront or your monthly payment, and vice versa. Once your deductible is met, your insurance will cover a specific percentage of each service. This is what's called co-insurance. And co-payments are similar, but they're a set dollar amount rather than a percentage that you pay for each service. Another important term to know is in-network. These are providers which almost always give you a lower co-insurance or co-payment. And you can always search these on the insurance website. So if you want to confirm that a doctor, an institution you want to go to is in-network, you can search it on the website's list of providers. As a side note, if you have insurance through your university, usually if they have an on-campus clinic, services will be discounted there as well. So one thing to note is that dental and vision insurance are not usually required, and they're also usually covered separately from regular medical insurance. So if you need that type of coverage for glasses, contacts, regular dental care, something to keep in mind. So there's really not like one best insurance fit for everyone. It really depends on your own needs. Some things to consider are listed here, like for example, if you have a pre-existing condition, if you need prescription medicine, if you plan to use mental health services, etc. And if you're unsure about anything, the best resource is your university's website for health insurance options and the associated office. In my experience, there's always a lot of information there, and they're always willing to help.
Yeah, thank you. And just something personal, like I was on my family's insurance until I was like 24, 25. So I didn't really figure out health insurance, like just to be honest here, I didn't figure out health insurance until like my last few years of grad school. And then I was like, oh crap, I need to figure out health insurance. So, so certainly like this, thank you for covering all of that. That was really helpful, and definitely ask if you have any questions, and just make sure and figure out how long, if you are being covered on your parents, if you know how long that can happen, and just kind of like carving your path forward there. So thank you. Thank you. Okay. Flipping over to thinking a little bit more about research. So, so Rachel's going to talk about hitting the ground running in your research. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, I thought Rachel was supposed to be here today. Actually, Janet, do you want to pitch it and explain a little bit?
I would love to, yes. So let's talk about how to really hit the ground running in research. And definitely the note that she has here at the top is the most important, and that is to communicate and to be kind of proactive in your communication too. Don't be afraid to reach out to your PI. And this is really important, whether we're talking about transitioning to graduate school or for those of you that are going into a summer research program. You know, one of the biggest struggles I hear from some of our research students, you have such a short amount of time, right? Summer feels long when you're at the beginning of it, but it goes by so fast. And it's important to not wait for your PI or your faculty member who's advising you to kind of come and tell you what the next step is. It's really up to you to reach out to them, reach out to other graduate students in the lab, postdocs who may be in the lab, and ask them, you know, what should I be working on? What's the next step? Or to go with them with an idea of, you know, this is what I think the next step is. Is this what I should try? Is this what I should do? So definitely try to be proactive and don't be afraid to ask questions. The item she has here on the left, this is a starting point, getting some background on the lab, on the project that you're going to be involved in. What is that literature? Getting their sense of expectations. What's a reasonable amount of time that I should be spending on research, and how long do you expect it to kind of take me to come up to speed? Am I on track with what your expectations are? And then just not being afraid to adjust as the summer goes on, for those of you that are doing summer research, or as the semester goes on, because things will change. Your project can change directions as you have experiments that work or that don't work as intended. Your project can kind of shift and take different directions, and you may be on a different timeline in a few months than what you expected at the very beginning. But don't be afraid to adjust with that and to talk to your advisor about any adjustments that might be needed there, and reaching out to others, either on your advisory committee, in your lab group, things like that. Some other great questions, I won't read through all of them there, but other things you can ask the grad students and the postdocs in your lab, things that will just help you get up to speed on the specifics of the technique and the work that you're doing, and getting yourself just acclimated to what you need to be able to do there. So when you have these slides, you know, take a look at these questions, have them in your pocket when you're walking into the lab, so that you know kind of what to ask and how to approach it. And just to kind of conclude here, be excited about what you're doing, you know, show some enthusiasm. You know, sometimes things get more exciting the more you get into them, right? So even if you're not really sure, hey, jump in, give it a try. You know, don't be afraid of failure. We've kind of talked about that throughout the year in kind of different contexts here. Part of grad school is just learning as you're going, and it's okay if things don't go as you initially planned the first time. It always comes out in the end if you just keep pushing forward. Just don't give up as you go. Ask lots of questions. And don't be afraid to be the one to kind of schedule those meetings with your advisor too, right? You know, sometimes you're like, I would communicate if I could just get a hold of my advisor, right? Be the one to be proactive there too. Set the meeting, send an email, send a calendar invite, you know, find out from your advisor directly and or others in the lab, what's the best method to communicate with the advisor, and set those meetings so that you can ask your questions and engage with them that way.
I think one of the most important things I learned in grad school is like how to manage up. That's what they call it. Like, you know, like how do you not only learn from your supervisor, your advisor, but like how do you have like a, you know, a back and forth relationship there. So yeah, excellent. So moving on to approaching research with that job mindset. Angel Santiago Colon.
Yep. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so I want to share my experience, right? It's not what everybody like um, goes through grad school, but this is what I think about job mindset. So first you can see on the top part, like it's the student mindset. As an undergrad, I would maybe sleep until whatever I had the class. And then I'll go to class and maybe I will have breakfast. I don't know if I had time or if not, I will add more sleep, no breakfast. Then I will take a nap because I was so tired of like, waking up and whatever. Then I would eat, study. If I had time, I will Netflix and then I had a homework, I had a test, so I would just do that, and then I will go to sleep at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever hour. So, and then this is kind of the average day I would have in an undergrad, and it's not sustainable. And also, I was always tired and everything. So, when you go to, and I always felt that you're putting out fire. So when you transition to grad school, it's for me it works to have a job mindset in where you have a routine. So in this time, maybe this is like the ideal. It's not always as this, but I will wake up early, like 5:30 or 6 a.m. Maybe go to the gym because that's something I left out as an undergrad because I didn't have time. So now I go to the gym, I have my breakfast, then I go to campus and I do research or meetings, whatever, throughout the whole day. Then at the night, I will have some time to, wrap up, organize, maybe watch something on Netflix, and then go to sleep and have like 6 or 7 hours. And, everything, this is ideally, depending on the semester, you may have to break this. You may have to shorten your sleep time or like add some of the research time, whatever. But ideally, you will want to kind of go back to this structure mindset, which will help you through the 5 years, because this is not a homework or test where you can just pass it. This is research where you always have more questions and more work to do. So yeah.
Excellent advice. Grad school, I've heard it be described like a marathon, not a sprint, right? And so you have to take care of yourself with proper sleep.
That's the best summary, yeah.
I love this diagram though, it's fantastic. Thank you. And so now focusing kind of on your end goal, why are you going to grad school, your future career? And so I'm going to hand it over to Vanessa to chat about this.
All right. Hi, everyone. So one thing I've learned in being in grad school is I would recommend try to think about 2 career options that you're interested in pursuing, and then making sure that you find experiences to prepare for those. So whether that's through mentoring or conferences. So when I originally came to grad school, I was interested in becoming a full-time professor, and I was just going to go straight into academia. But one thing my advisor told me to do was also think about how you could use your PhD in different industries. And so getting internship experience. And then I also joined the mentoring circles to also learn about the academic experience about being a professor. And so once I got that mentoring from other faculty members, I kind of realized that the tenure track position is not for me. And then when I did my internship at JP Morgan, then I kind of realized, oh, I didn't know I could use my PhD in this area. And so I would say being open to learn about other possible careers and having some flexibility would be really important. So that way you kind of don't pigeonhole yourself as you're getting your PhD. And then just find ways to participate in summer opportunities. So internships or research at other universities, just in case you want to do a postdoc later on.
Excellent. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay. And then we have how to ask for help, different tutoring and classes with Laura Cruz.
Hi, everyone. I know this is not as practical advice as the other, and I actually think I would have liked to have the same advice about like financial, transportation. All of those are great things to take in account. So, but mine is a little bit more about what you're gonna do. So whether you're gonna be joining a summer research program or you are going into grad school, I believe that one of the most difficult things to learn about like these more marathon type tasks is to ask for feedback. And this happens for multiple reasons. One of them is that sometimes we're scared and we think that we should know something, but the reality is that everyone has the same questions. And part of it is just like jumping into asking. So definitely ask for feedback. I think you will probably hear this word from now on multiple times, and you need to have feedback as something good for you. So feedback is basically something that it's going to help you grow, is going to help you get better at the task that you're performing. And if you ask for it correctly, it's going to be very productive. So feedback should be frequently. Do not wait until the end to ask for feedback about the document. Ask early on about the questions that you have, so that when you're working on it, you will have better results. In addition to that, be specific, meaning that, for example, if you have a specific question in a document, just mark it there and say, like, there is like something critical here that I'm not sure, and just mark it so that the person who is giving you feedback can pay more attention to that. Because when you are doing research, sometimes you're reading too many documents, and it's difficult to give you valuable feedback if you don't know, if the other person doesn't know what was the most difficult part for you. And in addition to that, although you have an advisor who is going to be the person who is supposed to guide you throughout the process, the truth is that that is not the only person who can give you feedback. So you can have peer mentors, you can have also just mentors that you find along the way, or you can have some help in terms of grading. And how you're going to know what you need is basically by reflecting on the things that you're doing. So if you feel that maybe your communication skills are not in the way they need to be, then look and find help on that sense. So just like evaluate yourself, look the areas that you have to improve, ask for other person feedback about what areas you need to improve, and find the help that you need. That would be my advice.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think we have a couple more, so we're gonna move through these and then go into breakout. So we're gonna go with Jesus to how to ask for help for that research side.
Yeah, so I think that for asking to help for research is kind of similar to the last slide. So I will say that don't be afraid to ask questions. And when we talk about the imposter syndrome, that's very important to take into account, so that you are still learning about your topic and you are on the way becoming an expert on it, but that doesn't mean that you will know everything. So you would need to consistently reach out and do networking. So you have your advisor, lab students, other faculty members from your school, and the rest of the research area community that could be found in seminars, poster sessions, conferences. So those places are very important that you participate frequently. And also you can find more, if you have specific questions about your research, maybe you can do some preparing before a meeting. For instance, you can schedule a video call, and I will say that a video call is much better than having an email thread or like a long conversation through emails. Sometimes if you have a longer email, then it will be difficult to communicate correctly. And then you can also prepare some pre-readings when you schedule a video call, so that others can be prepared about what you are going to talk about. And lastly, you can also make your own PowerPoint presentation so that you can support your questions and just clarify how you are going to communicate things. So I think those three are very important through the research process of asking questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jesus. And we're going to transition over to Abhishek.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk about how to balance between different activities that you have to do as a grad student. That includes research, teaching, taking classes, planning for conferences or journals, traveling, symposiums, and also like working as a GradTrack mentor or wherever you go in the future. So you have to set your priorities right. In my personal opinion, I give the most priority to the agency that supports me financially, the funding aspect of it. So sometimes my own research is directly funding me, or it may be that I'm working for another department and they're funding me. Or maybe it could be an RA project that I'm on and they're funding me. So I try to make sure that I complete all the requirements, all the due diligence required for me to have a financial security during my graduate school. The second thing I care the most about is my research, because that's what I'm here for mainly, and that treads my wheel to go closer to the graduation. And also I care about the courses, the relevant courses that are required for my research. I have felt, even I've experienced myself, that sometimes when we come directly out of the undergraduate program, we're very focused into classes. So we take a lot of classes and the research kind of, slacks a little bit. But as a PhD student, or even as a thesis student, it's very important that we make good progress on research early on, so that there is a balance. By the end of our second year or so, we have our papers coming up and things like those. Again, there could be a paper submission deadline on the same day as you have an assignment deadline. So you have to take a call, how much, where exactly you are in that particular class, how much the paper deadline means to you, and make sure that you balance it well. I would also say that make sure that you get experience of workshops and symposiums. Every department, every school, every college, they have multiple opportunities. At Purdue, there are multiple opportunities. I apply for almost all poster opportunities, symposium opportunities, any professional development opportunity that I have. You make one good poster, you can submit it to several places. Sometimes your work is good, or you get lucky and you win awards, and that feels really good. The success ratio is really small there because a lot of competition, but you have to try that. Also, if you are looking for travel, for research travel, every school, Purdue has a lot of fellowship options, travel awards. Purdue Graduate Student Government has those, College of Engineering has those. So if you have your research out in the community and you want to travel to present it, there is definitely a way to support it financially. And if you look at the right, I have the word life written in caps. And you have to make sure that with research, teaching, coursework, RA project, travel, everything, you have to make sure that the life is good. And I sometimes say three S, like sleep, study, and social. The most important S is sleep. So make sure you sleep well, because it's a marathon, as Jackie said in the beginning, and all of us feel that. So yeah, that's my somewhat word of wisdom.
Excellent. Thank you. I like this discussion about awards. What's the saying? The awards you will never get are the ones you don't apply for. So yes. Apply, and who knows what can happen. Okay. And then I actually think Angel is the last one, and then we will wrap up. So Angel? Are you not here either, Angel? Okay. So then we will wrap up. But one really important program to be aware of are transition programs into graduate school itself. And so there is the bridge program. And so that's a way to actually start your research early. You can apply for summer bridge. If you're a senior right now and you know you're starting at Purdue, I will be reaching out with that information soon, and you can reach out to me. But Angel actually did participate in this the bridge program here at Purdue. And again, it's a way to get to campus early. You get to like find your housing. They pay for you to get to campus. You will do research early, so you get to start doing your research before classes even start. You're building kind of that network. They really try to make it a cohort-based program, and you'll come in and you will do. You'll be there for basically the summer, and they pay you a stipend and housing and that travel. And certainly, it's almost like being like a grad student just early. So there, if you need to take some days off, you definitely want to talk with your advisor and your program to get that approval. So, but this summer graduate bridge program at Purdue is really awesome. There are ways for you to start your graduate study early and start that research early. It gives you a jump start kind of on the entire semester when you're juggling both classes and research. Okay. Well, with that, I want to give a virtual round of applause to our GradTrack mentors for being fabulous this year and for sharing some of their real life experience with us today. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into breakout circles, and this will be your last circles. You guys can you'll stay in there till about 8:20 or so, 8:25, and then I'll pull you back and we'll just wrap up 8:20 or so. We'll wrap up, announce the GradTrack trophy, and share some departing words with you guys. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to make sure you guys are able to screen share. Very cool. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap up with some exciting news. I did press record again, so again, this is only going to be shared with our makeup group, and I am going to do our last screen share of the program. Okay, and I do have the chat open, so feel free to drop anything in, and we will get going. So, are you guys ready? Like, this is like the drum roll. Okay, so the GradTrack trophy, the very first GradTrack trophy. Congratulations, Circle 4. I'm going to do a virtual round of applause. Yeah, so Laura and Jesus, thank you for being fabulous mentors and mentoring Circle 4 to victory. So you guys not only get bragging rights, we're going to put this awesome graphic up on our website, and then you guys will get a Purdue water bottle coming in the mail, and mentors Lexi will help coordinate for you to pick that up. So congrats again, and thank you for everyone again for all of the work you put in to the GradTrack program in general. So very, very exciting. So some program wrap up. It's been so nice to get to know all of you guys this past semester. Words are hard. And so some quick wrap up is mentees. We want again your feedback on your experience in the program, and then we also really want to kind of just like analyze this last year and figure out what went good, what we should keep, what we should not keep. And I know we've debriefed with the mentors last week over dinner, so that was really great. And we also want to know mentees, our GradTrack undergraduate scholars, what you're doing next. And I know you reported some of this to Lexi for the GradTrack trophy, but we also have an anonymous survey. So I'm dropping a link into the chat, and then once you kind of finish that survey, it kicks you to our end of program survey for the GradTrack program as well. So feel free, please fill that out. Again, we'd love to know what you're doing next and maybe what you've done in the past, and that's all anonymous. We do want to just keep building this program, making it even better as we move forward in future years, because you guys really are the first and most and the only and the most awesome cohort yet. So so with that, so mentees definitely complete that program survey that I dropped into the chat. I'd encourage you all to be involved for year 2 of GradTrack. So if you're an undergraduate student, if you are a sophomore or junior, we'd love to, if you're thinking about grad school again, and I'm thinking about applying to grad school, we encourage you to reapply and be in GradTrack in future years. So if you're going to be a senior next year and you want some extra eyes on your applications, apply. The GradTrack application deadline for the program next year is this Friday, so April 22nd, and you can email me. I will actually email you with some of this information too, because we also want to encourage you to share it with some of your undergrad friends. If you thought the program was helpful, we want to make sure that the word's out there for other students who are also interested in grad school. So again, all because you did it once doesn't mean you can't do it again. We'd really encourage you to be involved in the program in future years as well, if it's applicable and if it's relevant for you. And so mentors, same thing. The mentor application, I've emailed that out today. So if you're interested in participating again, please feel free to do that. We also recognize that this also takes time. So we want to be respectful of your time. If you could do it, great. If not, we thank you so much for your time this past year. If you are a senior, a GradTrack scholar, and you're coming to Purdue next year and you want to be a mentor, let me know. I will send you the application to be a mentor. And again, you'll be part of this really awesome mentor community for this upcoming year. For mentors, we have one more survey, because again, data is helpful, and I will be sending that out very shortly via Slack and email to our mentors. And final last thing, we do have an optional kind of meetup in June. So if you want to just come check in with your circles and meet them, maybe the next cohort coming in of mentors and mentees, you're more than welcome to join us. I'll be sharing out some information about that in June. And again, like whether you just want to come and be like, yeah, this was cool, like, and meet other people who are interested in grad school, we would love to have you. So look out for that in early June. We will likely be also reaching out to you guys if we do have Meet the Mentors and Meet the GradTrack Scholars page. So we'd love to update that with any relevant information that you guys have as you go and do great things at Purdue and elsewhere. So certainly what I would recommend is don't be a stranger. Purdue Engineering is your family, and GradTrack is also your family. And we are here for all the undergraduate students coming through the program and all the mentors. Again, you're part of that GradTrack family. So again, just really excited about all of the awesome things that you guys are going to do. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to leave the breakout rooms open if you guys do want to hop back into them to wrap up any conversations that I know sometimes time gets away from us all. And I'll hang out here if you guys want to chat. But again, I'm giving you guys like the biggest round of applause. I couldn't have asked for a better group of undergraduate students and a better GradTrack mentors for this first year. And I really, really, really appreciate all the time that both of you guys and all of you guys put into the program. So yep, sending lots of love. And undergrads, you guys will be getting your t-shirts soon. If you don't, then email me and Lexi. So congrats again. And I will see you guys, if not at Purdue, then at conferences and other places in the future. So excellent. Thank you guys. Bye. Very cool, Anna. Let's see. Yeah. And Alex, I think you got my email earlier, maybe. Yeah, did I send that?
Yes, I saw the email. I haven't read it yet.
Cool.
I know I got it. So
perfect.
I will be applying. So see you next year.
Welcome to Purdue, Alex. It's so exciting.
Thank you.
And I'm probably going to send you bridge stuff too. Yes. I'll send you bridge stuff too if you're interested in, again, starting early. I'm starting that during the summer.
I actually have my internship, so I don't plan on doing anything else.
Perfect. Awesome. It's great. So boiler up. So
boiler up.
Very, very
cool.
Bye.
I have a question, Jackie. So you mentioned about the next year's mentor application. When did you send the email? Was it recent?
So I just sent some of it out today. I'll make sure I sent it to you, because I know I pulled like one list of people, but I've not sent it out to like a current GradTrack necessarily, and to I have not sent it out to the entire college yet either. So yeah, so I will make sure it gets out to mentors. Thank you for reminding me about that. So
thank you, Lexi. Thank you, Jana. Thank you, Jackie.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Abhishek.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, you too. Okay. So Ronaldo. So is Ronaldo coming to Purdue? I hope to be a mentor next year. You're muted, Janet. You just happen to keep getting muted somehow. Okay.
Committee window is open, and I was copying out the chat messages because I thought they might be helpful for something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll see.
But yeah, I had not heard that Ronaldo was coming, but it sure sounds it.
Yeah.
Unless I don't know. I mean, unless he wants to be a mentor, not from Purdue.
I don't know how we do that. I've been thinking about that because I know I need to start some conversations with Ernest. And I know he wanted to get something going at UT Knoxville. And I've thought, like, how would we do that? Like, they would have to run their own mini program and we could like join, like we could all be together, but they would have to do that. So, cool. Okay. We'll save this chat. Awesome. High fives, team. Yeah. Yay, Lexi. Yay, Janet. Very exciting. Cool.
We could do like a screenshot with our t-shirts.
Oh yeah. Gotta sit up really nice and straight. I
Can
can
move the computer back a little bit.
My lighting's all wonky because it's dark. Okay. Ready? To be taller. Right? Cheese. Okay. Oh, that's cute. One more. Ready?
I don't know. What do we do?
Oh, it's a motion hand, Janet. Yeah, you got one moving. I think we got a good one. So cool. Well, we'll do one more actually. Sorry. Okay, cool. Awesome sauce. Yay. Okay, so a couple things to follow up. Hopefully people hit that survey. I'll probably send a reminder with that. I don't know if we technically have another newsletter left. Should ask Ashley about that. Cool. Well, anything else?
I just saved that chat out. I didn't save the whole chat. I just copied some out and I'm putting it in the feedback from undergrads area. Just because there's a couple of nice quotes about like this was like decisive in my whatever.
Okay. I like quotes.
Could be helpful.
Cool.
Yeah.
This
Did
is a
anybody
fun
go back in
session.
breakout rooms or not really?
No, they didn't. Yeah, I was checking that. They didn't. So cool. Okay.
Now I want to like look up Ronaldo and see if he's coming here, or if he's like thinking he can be a mentor from someplace else.
It was materials engineering that he was applying to. Ronaldo. I'm on Slate right now. Decision released. No decision on file for materials.
Okay. So he might have accepted it, but not accepted it through Slate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what might have happened. Yeah. Cool.
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 All right. Awesome job, Jackie. Made it through first year of GradTrack. This was a massive program to get off of the ground. Holy cow. This was a lot of work.
Now we have all of the content though, so this is exciting. So
and now we have Lexi.
Yay.
So
now we can just sit back and he can run with it.
Awesome. Happy to do it.
That will be fall because we will need that. So.
Yeah. Fall is intense. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
That's what we like.
I mean, we have the t-shirts. We're like super legit now. So
Oh yeah, it's like once you have a logo and a t-shirt, you're like legit. Yeah.
Pretty much. Actually, Lexi and I were talking about that because we copied the GradTrack form for pathways and we asked t-shirt size. And then I was like, why don't we do t-shirts for pathways? I was like, that sounds like a fantastic idea. We have a pathways logo now. So
Yeah, exactly. Should totally. I
I'm
wonder
like,
if I wonder if Surf still does t-shirts. Do you know if they still do t-shirts? They used to. They used to do a t-shirt competition. That's where I got the idea, actually.
I don't think that they do. I don't think that they've done it. So this is something that I'm like, yeah, we need to do this. And then our
Totally
welcome, they all get t-shirts. I like this. And then they all like are repping Purdue stuff like day one. So
Yeah, yeah, it serves so many purposes. That's a great cohort building and it's promos and
yeah, pays for itself at that point. So, yep.
Awesome.
How we do that.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay. Bye.